Happy Saturday. I woke up today in a different mood. As if you've seen any of my videos this week, I've been expressing how I realized that I was in the midst of a deep depression, or I'm still in the midst of it, but I think that I hadn't acknowledged that until last week. This week, I mean, I'm already saying it's last week, but it's still this week when everything just kind of piled up on me. And Friday, I felt it really bad. But it was building up for some time. A little bit at a time, and then a little bit more. And then here I am, sitting in my room, looking at the wall, and saying, how did I get here? But then, it's not a mystery of how I got there. It's just, it was building and building and building, and I was depleting myself over time. And I wasn't doing anything to replenish myself either. I mean, I have been doing these walks, and that has been helping. But that's basically the only self-care item that I have really been doing to try to get myself out of, I guess you could call it a rut. But I woke up today actually feeling a little bit better than yesterday. Not close to being all the way better, but yesterday I had a hard time even coming up with a positive thought. Whereas today I don't have a ton of positive thoughts, but I at least have a couple of them. So the positive thought that I had today compared to when I was trying to come up with some yesterday. If I think back to my life in 2012, when I first got my diagnosis of clinical depression and general anxiety disorder, that was one of the worst times that I can remember experiencing in life. In 2013, in March, I checked myself in to a psychiatric ward because I was trying to get help. I went all around the world. I went to my general physician. I got all these different tests to see what was physically wrong with me, and I was told the line that nobody wants to hear: it's all in your head, it's just anxiety. So I said, okay, if it's anxiety, the best thing for me to do, because I don't understand this overwhelming thing that's going on, is to go to the hospital and have them figure out a plan of action for me to get through this anxiety thing that I don't understand. So I went to that hospital, and I remember at that really low point in my life, I said to myself, the only thing that I want in life right now is to be able to wake up every day and not have these terrible panic attacks all day. To be able to actually live my life in a way that I don't have to be in fear all the time. To get over this agoraphobia, which had me in my room for almost a year, not leaving my room for almost a year. So something as simple as what I'm doing right now, being able to get outside and go for a walk like this, is something that I was not able to do in 2013 because of how bad my condition had gotten. So I prayed to be in the type of position that I'm in right now. To be able to live, to be able to drive again, to be able to feel comfortable just being outside, to be able to enjoy things again. You know, I got back into my hobbies. I got back into athletics. I started playing music again. I wasn't playing my saxophone at the time. I wasn't interested. I got back into playing the piano again. I do volunteer work. I have a full-time job again. I was deemed unable to work. I mentioned before, I was on disability at the time. So a lot of the pieces on the board right now are things that I said, 11 years ago now, that if I have these things, I'm going to be so grateful and happy. And I'm not saying that I am not grateful, but I haven't felt happy. Gratefulness, I have felt. The happiness, not so much. But then I started to think about why. And I started to think about what is it that makes people happy, anyways? Because let's say you said, oh, I'm going to be happy if I get this bike. You know, you're saving up for this bike, and you might think a bike is nothing much, but I want this particular bike that I saw in the bike shop the other day. And then I asked the guy how much it cost, and it was $600. So I knew that I didn't have bike money. I didn't have bike money, but I'm saying to myself, if I decided I really want that bike, right? I save up for the bike, or I do something for the bike. Let's say that I start having yard sales and I sell some stuff and I get rid of some old junk in the house or something. And then I put aside some money from work and I get everything together and then I get the bike. I'm going to be excited about the bike for a little bit. Actually, I might be excited about the bike for at least a couple of months, right? But I wouldn't necessarily just be excited about having the bike or riding the bike. I would be excited because I set out to earn this money to be able to get this thing that I want. And then I demonstrated the hard work and the discipline that it took me to get there. And I'll never forget something that my trainer said to me, because last year I achieved a weight and a fitness level that I had not seen in about maybe 12 years. And even when I look back at the videos, because the fitness I was in April of 2023 was top peak form, like the best form that I have had as an adult. And I was very proud of that. I was very excited about that. He said, Mark, the problem with the goals that you set for yourself is that you don't set a goal after the goal. He's like, you hype yourself up and you're like, okay, my goal is that I want to achieve a weight of 175 pounds. So you worked and you worked and you worked because that goal was always something in the distance. You were 238, then you were 215, then you were 202, then you were 198, 195, all the way until you got down to 175. Good afternoon, Ed. All the way until you got down to 175. Then you got there and you were excited to get there, but there was nothing after that. So then the weight went back up because you were no longer driven to strive for something different or to strive for something more. And therefore now you were just walking around without a goal again. And that's what I was thinking to myself today. That I do have a lot of things that theoretically should make me happy, because there are things that I wish that I could have done 10 years ago, or things that I wish that I could have had 10 years ago that I have right now. But the issue is those things are just kind of there randomly. They're not things that I have mapped out. They're not things that I have set goals for and try to achieve those goals and then reach those goals and then set new goals. It's just there. Like, for instance, one thing I always wanted to do was to become a paid musician who gets paid for performances. And I do that now, but it's not in any kind of order. I could sit around for 6 months and then somebody calls me and says, "Hey, Mark, I need you to play at such and such a nursing home." And then I head over there and I play and I leave. And it's cool because it's something that I like to do and it's something that I want to do, but it's not something that I plan to do, really made that much of a goal for, practice, advertise myself. It's just there. So I have a lot of pieces on the board that are just there. And so the thought that I had to myself as an attempt to resolve or lessen this current bout of depression is to just reset the board, figure out exactly where I'm at right now, think of some new goals, think of some new plans, and think of some new sources of motivation to get me towards those goals. Because I always talk about the fact that motivation starts with wanting the change, not feeling. A lot of people think that you have to feel motivated before you can start doing something that is going to be able to change or improve your life or improve your mood or improve whatever it is that you're trying to improve. But I always say the motivation has already started if you have those gears going. If you want that change, if you want to experience and feel that change, the motivation has already started. Now, you jump into the planning phase. Figure out a plan, and then you take action. And then you take action repeatedly, and repeatedly, hi Lisa, and over again, and eventually you start to build some momentum. And that's just generally the way it works, because right now my motivation to do anything is at a dead halt. My goals are constantly evolving. I got the reps, great, now let's work on time. Yeah, that's in my most ideal of times, that's how it is for me. That's not how it is presently, but that is definitely the goal.
We're almost there.
How many more minutes? 3 or 4?
Yeah, so anyways, I guess I could say one thing that I'm doing, even though I have not been giving myself any credit, is one thing that I've done consistently since about mid-April is I think from April, maybe April 15 until today, which is May 25, so it's been, I don't know, 40 days. I think it's been only about 3 or 4 days out of those 40 days that I have missed my 10,000 steps. So that's actually proof of something that has now become habitual to me, and it is something that's benefiting my overall fitness goal. And it's just become something that I do out of habit. Even though I don't feel like I'm motivated, I do have an inkling of motivation, because I will get to the day. There will be some days where I'll look at my watch and I'll say, oh boy, it's like 9 o'clock and I have 2,000 steps. And I'll jump right outside. Even if I have to make a client call, I'll just get to like a quiet area somewhere and I'll walk and talk at the same time. And I'm determined to get to that 10,000 steps. So it's a small thing, but it's a huge thing for where I'm at right now. Because I wasn't doing any steps in January and February and March. Zero. The only steps that I was doing were the steps that got me to my car, to the kitchen, to the bathroom, or basically my regular walking that I was doing. There was no additional steps. There was no additional steps in my life. And I actually did say, once the weather gets to about 60 degrees and up, I want to be outside 95% of these days for an intentional walk. I do need to get my run in there at some point. I'm trying to see something. Start a poll. Top chat. Highlight. Yeah, that didn't work. Okay. Yeah, the weather is 78 degrees. 78 degrees and sunny. Generally, I know that the best time of year for me is between about May through October. That's the time when I physically feel my best. That's the time when I'm the most active. So there was a point in time where I had to just get up and force myself and say, you know what? Despite the fact that you don't feel anywhere near your best, you're not going to feel any better by sitting around. So it's going to take an active choice to get up while you're feeling that way, to get up in the midst of that depressive state and say, I'm gonna put this goal down, and I'm gonna consistently do it every time. The walking part has gotten easier because I didn't even realize. When I first said I'm gonna do 10,000 steps a day, the amazing thing is, a few years ago, I was doing 20,000 steps a day, and it's not because I had 20,000 steps as a goal. It's because I was just that active. I was doing races every single weekend. I was running 3 days a week. So 20,000 steps was not something I had to, 10,000 steps, was not something I had to even think about. I decided 10,000 steps because I was getting about 1 to 2,000 steps a day, January through March. And then, so the first time that I went out to do the 10,000, I walked for about 20 minutes and looked down, and I was like, sheesh, I only have 2,500 steps. I still have 7,500 more steps to go, and I already feel tired, and I already feel like I want to go back home. How am I gonna do this consistently, like every day? And then I got the 10,000, and then what I did was I did a little cheat for myself, which is that I have a park that is nearby me that is an exact amount of steps for me to walk around that park. Walking around that park provides me with that 10,000 steps. So I don't know what it is with me, but that's a mental relief, because right now, for instance, I'm just doing a walk where I'm just going wherever, and I get to 10,000 whenever I get to 10,000. But that park is literally, I start here and I walk around and I get to the end of the park, and then it's 10,000. So I was doing that for a little while, and then maybe 2 to 3 weeks in, it started to just become a part of my routine again, where I get up in the morning, I throw my watch on. Actually, during my work week, I discovered that walking before I start work makes me calmer and able to at least a little easier handle what's going on at work. So something I've been doing lately is getting up and doing that walk at 6 or 7 in the morning and knocking out those 10,000 steps then. So all my steps afterwards are like bonus steps. But that was just the point that I was making. When I decided to do 10,000 steps, I didn't have some big wave of motivation where I was like, ooh, it's time to start moving and stepping again. It was just like, I'm thinking about how I am right now, and I'm thinking about how I'm so lethargic, and I'm thinking about how my joints are starting to hurt, and I'm starting to get really sedentary. Even though I was still exercising, the exercising was mostly just weightlifting. And I don't want to be one of those people. I know plenty of them. They could flip a car over, but then if they have to walk or run up a set of stairs, uh, they couldn't do that if their life depended on it. So I was like, I need to get some cardio back in. I need to get some sun in my life because the sun helps with the depression also. So the first bit of this was really hard and I really had to force myself. Now it is just a regular part of my routine, and I need to try to apply this to other parts of my life that I want to see different improvements in. I always find though that whenever my fitness is really on point, it kind of translates to every other area. And for a long time, I haven't had a specific goal. Even on my YouTube page in 2022, when I got my first, when I got this page monetized, actually, I was a man on a mission. I was like, I'll do anything to get myself to these 1,000. I think it was 1,000. I think it was more than 1,000 at the time, actually. Whatever the requirement was at that time to get monetized on YouTube. I was reading books. I was trying to do different hashtags. I was doing all different types of content. And I was like, I'm going to get this page monetized. Then my second page, when the Big Brother season started, I was like, my mission is to go 100 straight days of live videos in honor of my dad. And I was really driven and motivated to do that. And I was so driven because of thinking about my ultimate goal of what I wanted. The ultimate goal of going live, it wasn't about Big Brother specifically. So there was days when it was tough, but I didn't even really see it as tough because I was so locked in on that goal. So I need to sit down and put those things in my life again. I want to do this. I want to accomplish this. I want to get this done. And this is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to start here. I'm going to build up to this. And then I'm going to build up some more to this. And then I'm going to get here eventually at the end. So that's it. Right now, the next thing on my plate is next weekend. I was not able to sign up for this race in time and it filled up, which I'm really disappointed about, because if that race was next week, I know that I would have been a demon with this preparation for it. But what I'm doing next week is I am going to go there and I'm going to record a lot of footage for the event. I'm going to go there and try to get my media game on and my interview game on for that. But then my next race is in Citi Field, which is Met Stadium, and that's going to be coming up in about 3 weeks. So I'm going to be going into June I'm going to be going back to the track and getting my run on because cardio is really important for those races. So that's what it's going to be, and that's what it is. Thanks for joining me on my walk. I am, for those who like the updates, 5,673 steps. So that means I have another 4,300 to go. And I think I timed the distance. That'll approximately take me home. So thanks for tuning in. Drop a comment. Please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Talk to y'all soon.